Good morning, welcome to PAX.
Can I just say, the fact that I can see people is incredible. Like, it's crazy actually seeing people.
We are really excited to be here today. Mm-hmm. It's all positive vibes. We're all really happy here.
Everyone having a nice PAX so far? Yeah. Thank you.
How many people got in today?
He's going to keep hitting his thing.
Couple of hands. How many people were here yesterday?
Party fell.
Look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful. You love to see it.
What time is it?
It's 11:50. It's 11:56.
We have 3 minutes to go. Does someone have a really fun story of something that's happened to them at PAX yet?
You have
You.
60 seconds.
What's the story?
I bought 2 Joy-Cons and two Amiibos.
Ooh, what color
There you go.
Joy-Cons?
The pink and green.
Those are my favorite. They're the Splatoon color. Yeah.
All the way.
Nice. Let's go.
Anyone see the Splatoon news today?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. I'm there with you, man. You better be squatting up, all right? Oh, so you're going to share that with me, too, or what's going on, man? You're making that look real good right now.
Did you bring enough to share?
You're going to share that with me. It could make it look real good.
Oh.
You can tell this is going to be a really fun and laid back panel. We're all friends here.
We are.
We are.
I think one of my big highlights of PAX, this is just a side story while we're waiting for any last minute people to come in, is when you know a lot of people from the internet, but you haven't met them face to face. And so I'm just talking with someone and it doesn't hit me yet until all of a sudden I either hear someone's name or like I see their online handle. I'm like, wait, you're this person. Oh my God. And I just have a super huge excited moment.
Yeah, I've been fangirling a lot.
Yeah, me too. I've tackle hugged like 15 people.
You know, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Damn. I didn't know it was this kind of panel. Okay.
Going in for the tackle hug right now.
Oh, it's this type of community. Okay. All right.
You can tell that this is a community panel about communities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Heck yeah.
And whoever's in the Eorzea Mado Cafe, hello.
Are you talking about the critically acclaimed MMO Final Fantasy XIV?
Free trial all the way up to level 60.
Oh,
With unlimited playtime and
Well, you
features
wanna
the
sign that guy
award-winning
right there.
expansion Heavensward.
no way!
Listen,
Oh, yeah.
if you
It's all
don't play
coming
a
together.
Femro, we might throw hands.
Oh, I mean, I love Femro, but
I'm just saying.
I just did a charity stream and I turned into a cat girl for the first time. And I love the Mikote. They're really cute.
Yeah, they are.
That's true.
They're adorable.
We have to be careful or I'll turn this into a Final Fantasy panel.
You're in the wrong panel still.
Wait, this isn't the Final Fantasy
No,
panel or
that's
the Pokemon
next
panel?
door. That's next
Oh,
door.
shoot.
It is a community-driven game.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, very community driven. Steph got me into the game back in September, and I've been like, oh, it's so good.
I can't go 5 minutes without talking about video games and specifically Final Fantasy. So if you play, we're best friends. But if you haven't played before yet and you want to talk about it, all I'm saying.
Yep.
Did you bring any promo codes for Final Fantasy while you're at it?
No, but you know what we do have a promo code for? Do you want to talk? Did everyone get a raffle ticket yet? Do we want to talk
Yes, I
about the
believe
things
everyone
that
got
are
a raffle
happening?
ticket when they got in here, and I handed out stickers while supply lasted.
Oh.
Yeah. So we got people still coming on in. Doors are.
I love you so much. I'm sorry, I just had to say that. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, doors are closing, so that means, please put on your seatbelts and enjoy your 1-hour flight to community building. Leaders share their tales of adventure panel here at PAX East. So my name is Kenley, and I will be your moderator for this panel. And start off with introductions. I'll start off with introducing myself. I'm on the leadership team of SOBA, the Seattle Online Broadcasters Association. We are a nonprofit organization in Seattle that's responsible for representing the interests of content creators in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. And for me, I lead our production and broadcaster development efforts. So collaborative content, virtual meetups, live streams, that kind of stuff. And in the past 2 years, it meant, during the whole Great Panini, it meant almost monthly virtual meetup live streams, mixed in with some fundraising for charitable causes, both in our backyard and some charities that operate nationally. And some of our biggest wins as a community include working with the Anti-Defamation League at a state level to lobby for legislation increasing the penalties associated with false reporting of crime, commonly known as swatting. So it's a gross misdemeanor if no one gets hurt. It's a felony if someone does get hurt. So that is some, things that we are able to do as a community that, people can't really do or struggle with individually. We talk about force multipliers later on in this presentation. Next up is the lovely Steph of Anime, and I'm going to introduce her and her work in elevating women and non-binary content creators in the Pokemon community. So Steph, why don't you start off?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, hi everyone. My name is Steph. I'll give you a little bit about myself. So I sometimes tri-wield multiple different weapons and or hats when it comes to community building and content creation and all sorts of things. So by day, I do work in the video game industry and I work with content creators, but outside of that, I have been a full-time content creator for about 5 to 6 years. And so I've been streaming on Twitch for a very long time, building my own community. And then in 2020, I launched an initiative called The Last Project, which, as Kenley just said, is an initiative to uplift and empower women and non-binary creators in the Pokemon community, because as a full-time content creator, Pokemon is what most people know me for. It's my favorite game. It's not, well, I love Final Fantasy XIV too. I know I just spent the last 5 minutes talking about Final Fantasy XIV, but I also love Pokemon. And so, and so that's something that I'm excited to talk more about throughout this panel. And so I think community building is something super close to my heart, and it's something that, especially if you do any sort of content creation, I think you can relate to, how important it is to connect with your audience. And yeah, thank you just everyone for having me, and I'm excited to be here.
Alrighty. Next is I am Brandon from Chicago.
Hi everybody, I am Brandon. My name is horrible, but yeah, I'm Brandon. Nice to meet you. So I'm a Twitch streamer. I've been streaming on Twitch for 7 years. Been partnered for 6. Been partnered for 6 years. So I started a community in Chicago for the Twitch community because I wanted to find why streamers who lived in my local area, which started 5 years ago. I don't run it anymore, but we still are making things happen in Chicago. So today I'm going to be talking about how I started that and just how you can create your own experience in your own local area when it comes to Twitch or broadcasting. And then also I've just been a part of a lot of different communities when it comes to charity and just streamers in general. So yeah.
I mean, why don't you tell us a little bit about Scarathon and how you raised over $100,000?
Woo!
Seriously.
So my whole aesthetic is I love horror games, and my viewers love to see me tortured by horror games. So about 5 years ago, I decided to create with a friend a annual event that we raise money for different organizations, where basically we have 30 different streamers all streaming on the same channel for all the same causes, and we would just play scary games for 3 days straight. And so we've raised over $100,000 for different organizations, including St. Jude, the Trevor Project, Able Gamers, and more. Yeah.
Cool. I think that was important to cover in your introduction. Next up is Wreck-It Raven, and she'll be talking a lot about her work to protect marginalized content creators in our industry.
Yes, hi, I'm Raven. I am the chaos on this panel, so if you're looking for a little bit of edginess in your life, look no further. I am known for being an activist in the Twitch space specifically. I think that it is important to understand that content creation and Twitch and other sites like that as a whole are a reflection of society. And we still see that marginalized people, BIPOC people, LGBTQIA2+ people are not always treated well in those spaces. So I use my voice to lift the voices of others. I think that's really important. We also do a lot of charity work. I have a charity team called The Underworld. And we have raised we just started, but we raised about $25,000 for a multitude of different organizations. And that is definitely that is my love child. And I I don't know, like, I only have so much time on this earth, and I want to make the most of it, and that means that I'm going to help others, because I know what it's like to be in a space where you don't have that.
Cool.
That's it.
I was going to say, I think everyone on this panel is really into building big tents and building really inclusive communities, and this panel is a reflection of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to just see yourself and people who look like you in the spaces that you occupy. So let's be the change we want to see, and let's do that as a community.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, next up is Marcel. He's a content creator and Twitch partner, and the organizer of the Toronto Community Meetup.
Yeah, so just like Brandon as well, he runs the Chicago one, I run the Toronto one. I've been running it for quite a while, for like 5 years now, and we raised like $10,000 for each community, for each event that we ran. I'm really strong about. Oh.
Yeah!
Oh, why you're celebrating
job.
because you're never invited to it.
Apparently, I got banned from a Twitch Toronto meetup, and I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, we'll talk to the organizer about that. They'll get back to you on Monday. So, no, maybe the next one. But
Oh,
like,
man. I live in Toronto, for those of you who don't know.
but for I always believed in growing a community, like cheering on your friends and everything. And I see a community as friends and family. And you know, if you have met me before, you always see me like if I do like a simple like or retweet, I'm your guy. I'm your hype man in a way. And I always believe in that. That helps build community. For myself, I also did $40,000 for charities for my own personal community, which they've been absolutely amazing because I think they just love to torture me as much as possible because I hate pickles and they make me eat every variation of pickles whatsoever. You know, so but you know, I just love community building and hyping up your friends and everything. And that's like I feel like that's a strong part of community building as well. So.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I feel like we're all everyone on this podium is now friends now as a result of like preparing for this panel and
The
just
power of friendship.
Absolutely.
If I could be a real-life anime person, I would do it.
There you go.
I would do it.
I feel
Exactly.
I think
that.
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff of anime. I try to believe that I am just an anime girl by having a handle like that.
you have anime vibes to
Yeah.
you. You know that?
That's the best compliment I've ever gotten.
Next up is Rin Karigami.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rin, and for a long time, I've been doing charity work before I was a streamer. I'm going into my second year as a Twitch partner, and I've done charities for Extra Life, for Gamers Outreach, which raises money for children that are hospitalized that use distractive therapy, like getting games to children that can't leave hospitals. In addition to that, we've also done St. Jude's. And before that, I would just go to local areas. We'd make like homeless baskets for kids who don't have school supplies at the beginning of the year. So every year, my partner and my daughter, we would make that, deliver it to kids who didn't have better. I used to cosplay as Iron Man, go to hospitals and visit children there as well. And I've just been trying to do my best to uplift the community and provide a little bit of positivity in the lives where, you know, sometimes just helping somebody out through a time where they may be going through depression or any multitude of life's problems, loss, death, grief. I like to use my space to open up that door, and I share my experiences. And although I'm not a professional, I could share what I know, and it helps a lot of people through that. And my community is basically built on allowing people to be people and have their voice heard, share their stories if they want to.
Awesome. So, can you tell us a little bit about your content or?
So I play Final Fantasy XIV.
Wait, the critically acclaimed MMO Final Fantasy
I
XIV?
play a lot of Final
With a
Fantasy
free
XIV.
trial all the way up to level 60?
This is not an ad. It's
Right.
just a bit of a cult.
in terms of in-game content, while we're playing the game, in addition to helping people have a space where they could be themselves, raiding in that game, playing with other players in an online community, anxiety can overcome a lot of people. They may not feel like they're good enough to get into that, and we try to just open a door to allow people to safely learn at their own pace. And I worked really hard to become one of the best players in the game so that I could take people in and show them that not everybody's a jerk. You know, you can learn, you can do it too, and just empower people to tackle the hardest content. And now we have Steph of Anime over here who's played Final Fantasy XIV, who started out the game. I took her with our friend Lama taught into her very first raid, and she was nervous and super shy, and now she's teaching people too, and that's just what we do.
She's
We got
teaching
another guy right
me.
over here who I know has done the same thing.
If I could just do a quick brag about Rin, because Rin is really cool and a testament to the community that Rin has built. Like, I had super, it's an online social anxiety, if that makes sense. Like, to go online in a game and to do something really difficult with 7 other players and knowing, oh, if I mess up, everyone's going to wipe in the raid. And, having somebody like Rin to be really patient with you and say, hey, like, we're going to do this at your own pace. And, like, it really welcomed me into the Final Fantasy community, and now I love it a lot. And so, having, like, a really safe and welcome space goes a really long way. So, Rin, you're great, okay? And I appreciate you for bringing me into this world.
No,
Final
you.
Fantasy.
I was about to say, I'm glad you said world of Final Fantasy. You said world and you stopped. I was like, what? Hold on a minute.
I'm still learning how to
Yeah.
speak after like 3 years of just not leaving my house, and so I'm like, how do I socialize with people again? When do I pause in my sentences? I don't know.
And I think the biggest takeaway that you can probably take away from our on-stage banter right now is that communities are formed around a shared identity, interest, purpose, or goal. Examples of communities that these community leaders sitting here today lead are a shared interest in live streaming in their hometowns, uniting behind a common cause, or sharing a love for their particular video game with their friends. So let's get started with community building origin stories. So we're going to run it from Marcel all the way down to Rin for these questions. How did your community come into existence, and why did you start building the community that you are known for?
So for the Twitch Toronto one, only Vancouver had their own, and Chicago as well. And I love what they were doing with community building, and also the charity work they also were doing as well. And I looked like all over the place to see if there was any in Toronto, and just to make sure I wasn't stepping on anyone's toes. There wasn't any, and honestly, that's just how it just came about. I just made my own. It went from 60 people who all came and connected, from partners to, at that time, there was an affiliate at that time. So that was a long time ago. You could tell from that. And then
So you're saying you're old?
yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
I remember those days too. I feel like an old Mark too. So.
But basically, it just doubled from each of that. And what I always liked is that we hyped each other up. I brought gaming communities or like developers to show off their games, and I just made it to like a little mini convention because up in Canada, like it costs a lot to travel to like PAX East or PAX West or TwitchCon. So I wanted to bring that same experience back at home, and everyone started loving it, and just doubled, and here we are right now. So
You'll find a lot of these stories. I mean, between like Marcel, Brandon, and me, we'll talk about our communities. Me less so because I'm moderating, but
yeah. Brandon did a really good job. But he actually came down to one of mine, and I was like, I'm so happy you're here. You're a good inspiration to me. Like back then, I'm just joking. No, you're still. No, you're still getting appreciated. I tell him this all the time.
There's
He knows,
no shade here, right? I'm just
Brandon knows I
asking.
love him, man. He's really good, and he's definitely paved the way for a lot of communities, and I'm just I was been happy to know, but like, oh, I know Brandon, and show him off at a Walmart, like, oh, I know this guy, like.
Not the Walmart.
and let's pass the torch on to our next Toronto resident here, Steph.
These Toronto meetups seem like they'd be really nice.
Yeah, maybe one day. So.
Maybe one day I'll get to go to one of them or something. Yeah, so I'll give a bit of the origin story of my community. So when I first started streaming on Twitch, I didn't really think of community until a very specific day. So I'll tell this little story. So when I first started streaming, normally what I would just do is like tell some of my like Facebook friends, back when I used Facebook. I don't use Facebook anymore, but when I did, I would say, hey, you want to just come and like watch me play games for a little bit? Because I actually moved from the US to Canada, and so I didn't have any local friends yet. So just to connect with my friends, I thought, oh, if I stream, they can kind of hang out with me a little bit remotely. And little by little, like people who I didn't know would pop into my stream. And there was one night I will never forget. It was like 3 a.m. because I am a night owl. And, we had a few people from all different regions. So we had someone from South Korea, someone from the UK, someone from Canada, North America, and we were all helping someone who was feeling really down and was just not having a good time, was feeling really depressed. And like, it was just in that moment, like I just had this thing hit me where I said, oh my God, there are people from all over the world right now who are helping to console someone and connect to someone who's feeling like sad and down. And that's when, for me, like streaming kind of changed from, oh, I can just show my friends video games to, wait, that you can have an impact and do more than just play games with people, but you can create safe spaces and facilitate an environment where people can be themselves. And, like growing up, I'm really into anime, and like I got bullied for that. And I really loved that. Like I could create a Discord space and like a Twitch chat where people could get excited and talk about the things that they love without, anything happening to them. And so like I had that very specific moment when I realized just having 5 people in a community or friends of yours that that like you can take leadership and be in charge of creating the space that you want to create. And so that is kind of what started my Twitch journey, where I realized that my love of streaming wasn't just, playing video games, but it's the people and connecting with those people and hearing what they have to say. And from there, I fell in love with playing Pokemon on stream, and then, I kind of deep dived that. And so, if I want to create safe and nice places, like, what about specifically in the Pokemon community? And that's when I created the last project for women and non-binary creators, especially to get highlighted. And we do a lot of things for charities and fun things and just create a place for people to make new friends. So that's kind of my origin story. Yeah.
All right, next is Raven.
My favorite episode.
So, my origin story is petty. I will start there. I am a neurodivergent person. I have ADHD. I was undiagnosed at the time, but I couldn't really keep friends because I was always the annoying friend. So I decided that, I saw people streaming on Twitch. I wanted to stream on Twitch. I wanted to see what it was about. I wanted to connect. My partner at the time told me I couldn't. And thus I'm sitting here with you today. Okay, so that's petty. That's petty.
Dang.
But for me, it really was just about creating spaces where I felt like I wasn't going to be judged for who I am. And then it kind of evolved over the course of time where, there were some tragic things that have happened, very traumatic things that have happened, and it kind of really shaped me into understanding that I only have one life on this planet. I want to make the most of it.
YOLO.
Literally very much that. And I want to be able to uplift people. So I started really kind of gravitating to speaking my mind, which is so brave sometimes because as a marginalized person, you're taught that there is a certain level of acceptability for being who you are. I want to break that mold. So the fact that I was able to really start facilitating that, and people really started taking to that and saying, yeah, absolutely, like what you are saying holds some truth for me, and I feel the same, and I'm sharing my experience with you, became really powerful. And we saw that over the course of the last summer when things on Twitch were not so great.
It was a hot summer.
It was a thing.
Hot
It was a
mess.
moment.
Hot summer, yeah.
But it was just really amazing to see so many like truly diverse, inclusive, and intersectional people come together for like the greater good. And I helped facilitate that. So I latch on to that because tomorrow is never promised. And I want people who are in my community to feel like they belong because they do. Nobody should ever feel bad for existing as they are. That got really deep. I'm sorry.
No?
I'll do it here.
We love
Hey,
it.
We have your back. I think you know that. Like,
Yeah, I know. Listen, I love y'all, okay? Like, y'all are stuck with me. I'm not sorry.
next is Brandon.
Hi. So my origin story started off by me streaming on Twitch and living in Chicago and not knowing anybody who streamed on Twitch. I was very lonely for a while. And so like one thing about like the meetups and the community that has been built from it is a lot of people have been inspired by other people in different locations. So I was like on Reddit, which I should not be because Reddit. But I was on the Twitch Reddit, and if you know the Twitch streamer Swifter, he made a post about like he was doing a New York meetup, and I remember I was thinking to myself like, hey, like, I wish there was one in Chicago. And I had reached out to him, and he was like, well, why don't you make your own? At first, I was just like, whoa, okay, that's very aggressive, but okay. But I was like, no, I mean, that makes sense. If I want to make something, I should do it myself. So I started to look into how to, like, locations and then how to reach out to people. So I started the social media for that, and I started reaching out to streamers and made a page and was like, you know what, let's try to get as many people as possible in Chicago who stream on Twitch together. Let's just hang out. And we ended up going to this local bar. It was like 30 of us. And it was just like really cool to see people from the internet who I just knew, but see them in person. And it started with that. And then, you know, I wanted to build it more because like we had such a great time and everybody's like, when's the next one? When are we going to do that?
Chicago's a top tier meetup, by the way.
And so we were, you know, we started to make the next one and it got bigger. And then it continued to grow bigger, and then people were coming from out of state, which I was like, okay, this is getting kind of serious. I'm like, I was not prepared for that. And then we could start to see like a lot of traction in general. And my main thing was that, you know, Chicago is, you know, we're a big city, but for gaming, it's kind of like sporadic in different places. There's no central thing where it's like, this is for gamers and all that kind of stuff. So my goal was to try to make this community of like people who had the love for Twitch, no matter where you're from. If you're in Wisconsin or you're from Florida, if you want to come hang out with us, come and do that. And I was really, really proud. Like I said, I don't run it anymore, but I got it to the point where I felt like, you know, I did what I could do. And luckily I had surrounded myself with some great people who were helping me and working with me make the whole event happen. And so I gave it over to my friend, Anthony, who's now running it and still going, which I'm excited. And it was just like, the last meetup that I did was actually the last meetup before COVID, so it was kind of weird that happened. But we got to do it at this venue called the Metro, which a lot of different artists have like played there and stuff like that. And they've never ran like anything gaming in this event ever. And it was just so wild to sit there on the stage where all these legendary acts have like performed, and I'm watching people just scream, Brandon, Brandon. And I'm like, I created
top
this.
Tier.
And I was like, I created this and I wanted to keep going. You know, if I'm not going to be a part of it, I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep thriving. I'm very proud to see it continue. So they're going to be doing their first meetup back at the Metro on September 3rd. So I'm going to be happy to walk in there as an attendee and just get to enjoy myself. So, yeah. Oh, wow. I'm clapping for myself.
You should.
You should, honestly. Don't.
I was like,
That meetup was a good one.
Next up is Rin Karagami.
All right, so my origin story is it's going to be with Final Fantasy XIV. I know, a big surprise, big shocker. It was during a time where my mother had just passed away when the game had first launched, and I wanted something I could do to kind of escape from that because it's difficult. It's hard to go through loss. So I streamed a little bit for my friends who I had locally because I didn't really want to go out anymore, and that kind of hits you hard. And then over time, I had people who I knew on my server that were watching, and they're like, hey, cool, we have somebody from Balmung that wants to hang out, and we're going to watch and stuff. And then, PAX comes around, and Square Enix was here. And so there were a lot of people, again, who are very anxious and nervous about raiding. And so I ran the event here. If you ran it, you got a T-shirt. And I did it, and the line wasn't very long, so let people run it multiple times. I ran it 12 times. I took all the shirts back, and then I held an event online where people that were nervous that didn't feel like they could do it came in, and when we cleared it, if they were comfortable, they gave me their address, and I would ship them the shirts. And from there, I started doing more giveaways and stuff with people just to get them through it, empowering them, really, really nice words with it too. I do a lot of impressions too when people come through and like, oh my God, that's so funny, and like crack jokes. Like there was one where there was a giant like robot thing, and I was like making Cars references, and people start laughing because they're like, wait a minute, we're like making jokes and it's not so serious, it's not so bad. And then word just started spreading from there, and more people came around. From there, when I would say moments of weakness, but I think it's more moments of vulnerability where I would get emotional over my loss still. And I don't think it's weak to speak on it. I actually think it's strong to open yourself that way. And it's very raw. I think all of us as content creators can say that sometimes we don't have the choice to just look away if we're presented with a powerful situation in front of us. We just have to face it right there. So showing people that I could do that, they would just come to me, they would like send me either a private message or publicly, and they're like, well, this is what I'm dealing with, and thank you for that, because now I feel a little bit better. And I was like, wow. And from there, I faced depression, I faced many different things, and without getting too much into it, there have been people who have sent me messages and like, your stream tonight saved my life. And when you hear those words, it is bigger than you at that point. And so it was basically at that point that I decided I'm pushing for Twitch partner now. I want to make this my career. And I was working as a director of operations for like a Papa John's franchise, whatever. I stopped that. It's money. When you impact people's lives, if you can make enough to get by, that is the most important thing to me, is the people, the relationships, the memories that you make, that you impact. Because at the end of the day, if you could say that you made like whatever amount of money off on the side, or you saved somebody's life, I don't want to take credit for that. It feels weird. It's still surreal, right? Like when you have those moments and people come up to you, you have marginalized communities too, and you speak out for them. I have, my partner is in transition right now, and so there's a lot of people who come up to me and they're like, thank you for speaking on trans rights, because so many people just get told they have to deal with it, or they're not allowed in communities, and it's not fair. And you know, we're in a professional situation, but
Trans rights are human rights.
Yes.
yes! Anybody who says otherwise is just wrong. And I could swear to the nine to get super aggressive, but you're just wrong if you want to push down anybody for any reason. We're all people at the end of the day, and just standing up for that and fighting for it is what it's become about over time. So it's more than gaming, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Although you know, Final Fantasy XIV is what I'm known for, it's much bigger. It's much bigger than that. And just allowing spaces where we can have people be safe, come in, share stories, stand up for them, use my platform. And you know what? Sometimes there are people out there who are like, you really shouldn't use your platform because it makes me uncomfortable. I tell them to go suck it. They can go away. They can leave. So many people have come in like, I'm not comfortable with you speaking up for them. And I just ban them right away because we don't have any room in our world for hate. We just don't.
Amen.
Amen.
That's probably the better way, because I'm just petty and I'm like, okay, let's talk about this.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes pettiness powers us up to do great things.
That's fair. Okay.
absolutely.
You know what? Thank you for that.
So our next series of questions is about getting involved. So how did you get involved in your current community and why? How did you find like-minded people? How did you encourage people to join? Is there a shared purpose or goal that everyone gets excited and rallies behind? And we're going to start with Ren, all the way back to Marcel.
You're
All
flipping
right, well, I
the
just
script,
answered
huh?
that. You're good. Basically, I got involved because I shared my own life stories, and I realized that this was something that I could really make a solid go at. Working a day job, I was working sometimes 95 hours a week, and I have a husband, I have a daughter, I have 3 dogs. At one point, they were like, you don't live your own life. We just need you to stop. And I was like, you know what? That's right. And pushing for all these goals with people, helping them out, is really what it's all about. I started reaching out. Steph, I made really good friends with.
Who's that?
You know.
Y'all,
And just started mingling within the Final Fantasy XIV community and working with other content creators. I believe we even have one right over there in the crowd, working with the community to raise awareness. And instead of competing with one another in a directory, we worked together in the directory, made teams, and just stood up for things and did fundraisers together, charities, raise awareness. Like I said earlier, we did Gamers Outreach. I love Extra Life, always raising money for good causes there. And also suicide prevention, because I feel like a lot of the world still pushes situations where you're made to feel bad if you need mental help. People push to go to the hospitals for physical help, but if you have disorders, they treat you differently. And really what it should be is you should be empowered to seek the help you want, because it's so good, it's so healthy, it's so powerful. So we just speak towards that and help people realize that it's not the way that movies and TV shows, make you feel, right? The news networks are really weird about it. So when we have social media that we can push honest opinions and experiences on, that's how I get involved with my community. And they want to give back too, and then they spread amongst each other. And it's so great when you step into Steph's chat or other community figures in Final Fantasy XIV like Lamatod or Darian Hart and stuff, and you step in there and you see people talking about their experiences from the other chats and what they've been doing, and you just see like, okay, well, this person's running a charity, and so they're pitching in here, and everybody's pushing over to there, and we had a big influx in the Final Fantasy community last year. We had a lot of WoW players come over because there was, if you know about the drama from World of Warcraft, it was really big and it was really not okay. So people made a big stand. And we used that opportunity we raised a lot of money and a lot of good for a lot of charities during that time with the eyes on us. So we took the power, took the reins. We were like, we're going to do something. Standing up for rights, putting out vlogs, putting out videos, just making sure that people understood that you're okay to be you. You're okay to be you. And I'm okay to be me, as long as we're not jerks. As long as we're not jerks. And that's how the community works with me. I got involved because I love it. I'm passionate about people. 50 years from now, I'm not going to care what I did in like Super Smash Brothers, right? But I am going to care about the memories, and I'm going to care about today with you guys here. So thank you for coming. I appreciate a round of applause for you guys. And that's my story.
I would also just love to add on. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the logistics sometimes when you're thinking about building communities. And I don't know if some of you are I'm very analytical at times, and sometimes you can get very overwhelmed by the idea of where do I start? How do I do this? Like all of these finite details. But sometimes it's really just going out and remembering that people are people and just connecting with others and worry about the logistics later. Logistics are important, of course, the bigger something gets, and we'll talk about some of that later, but sometimes it's just about remembering, hey, we're all people, and that's what community is all about, is connecting with other people. And so sometimes it's forget the logistics and some of the more finite things and just have conversations with others and listen. And so, yeah, that's what we're in.
10,000%.
What you said reminded me of that.
I think I could also add that, especially the communities that we all built in the last 2 years, I'm sure a lot of us could say our communities were the ones that we all depended on for the last 2 years. I wasn't able to see a lot of my family or a lot of my friends, but I was able to hang out with people and from the communities that I built, or the meetups, and connect with everyone through virtually and everything. So
I know that feeling.
you never know when you might depend on each other, either in real life or virtually as well. So
I'd say in a lot of ways our community saved us too through COVID.
Oh,
So
yeah,
many times we couldn't-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Brandon.
When it comes to with getting involved in my community, it was really important to me that everybody felt that they were important. As a Twitch streamer, we have Twitch partners and Twitch affiliates, and just me in general, I just want everybody to feel like they're important. So, when I first started the event, I was like, okay, we're gonna get all the popular streamers, and they're gonna bring all these people. And then I realized why was I doing that? I'm like, no, it should be about everybody who's coming in here should feel important. I started to see the community grow when people got to meet each other, and it was Twitch partners, Twitch affiliates, all just mingling. It wasn't about, oh, I'm this, I'm that. It's no, we have the same common interests. We all love Twitch. We're all nerds sitting in our house playing video games and stuff like that. We could all connect in that kind of level.
Bleed purple, am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Bleed purple. So yeah, it was very important for me to make everybody feel that they were important, because there's been so many times that people have come up to me after the event, or just message me thank you so much for having this event for us, because there's been so many times that I felt like I was not included in communities because I felt oh, I'm a Twitch affiliate and I shouldn't talk to a partner and that kind of stuff. And I don't want anybody ever in this world to feel like they are not worth, or they're less than what they are, because I feel like everybody has the potential to do the best they can and do what they can for this world. And that's why I was it's really great to see my friends here who I definitely have been a part of their experiences and their events and stuff like that. And it's really cool to be inspired by that and having other people just take it upon the world and making sure that they know that they're a valuable asset to this world, basically.
Amen.
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Raven.
Me. Honestly, I'm chaos. That is my brand. I'm pure chaos. So I genuinely just love people aggressively, as long as it's consensual, okay? That is important. But I love people aggressively. And we, a lot of the times, will just get stuck in just chatting, where we're talking about, I don't know, medicine and the disparities between, being a marginalized gender or a marginalized person and, having access to quality healthcare. So getting involved for me looks like being able to learn things from my community and my community learning things from me. It is a big circle of just growth and evolution and understanding that not one person's experience is the end-all be-all, but it is important to listen to those experiences. It is important to understand that even though you may not agree with how somebody is feeling, those are their feelings, they are valid, and you don't get to dictate how they're supposed to feel about anything. We also really kind of teach out not negating the harm that we could have done. Again, we don't have to agree, but if I have caused you harm, it is not up for me to be like, no, that's not the case. Like, you have to mitigate that. So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of talking about some really deep stuff. Like, there's trigger warnings everywhere in my chat because I want to make sure that my community members are safe. And if they feel like they cannot be there for that particular conversation, that it's okay. But I do genuinely try to encourage others to like speak, their piece if they feel comfortable to do that. And if not, like, I always tell them, like, my DMs are open. Like, if you need me, like, and you just want to say something and you don't know where else to go, like, I will be that wall. And I think it's important just to encourage that. Like, I don't want to say, like, oh, it's a safe space, because sometimes it based off the content, it could not be a safe space for people. But I want to allow people to have the consent to make the decisions that they need to in order to feel like they're taking care of themselves. Protect your peace at all costs. That's kind of the bottom line. So I'm very grateful because I have learned so much from the people who come and harass me with love. And yeah, it's an amazing experience.
All right, Steph.
Wow, I agree with what everyone has said so far, 100%. So I'm trying to think of a different angle to talk about when encouraging people to join your community. I think it's really important to be authentic to yourself and create a place that you especially want to be in. If you're running a community and it's not something that you yourself, like if you're doing an event and it's not something you yourself would want to be at, you're not going to get other people who are going to want to rally behind you. And
It should be a space where people should be their true authentic selves, right?
Yeah. I think authenticity is really important with community building, and people can see it if you're not passionate or you don't care so much about the thing that you are creating. And so that's something huge. And, again, with the last project in Pokemon, like Pokemon is my favorite game of all time. And so, creating a space and, make a safe space for women and non-binary creators to be able to make friends, especially. I know when I did that, I was thinking, it's very easy on Twitch to be in your own bubble and like not go out and make new friends. So something that's always important to me every year is like I open an application process and make sure that I'm looking at creators of all different sizes. It doesn't matter if you're a partner, you're an affiliate, who you are, where you're from. It's just that I just want to meet new friends and make this like an accessible thing for people, and so an approachable space. So, being authentic to yourself and what your different types of community. And with my personal Twitch, I love anime and games, and I wanted to make a space that the whole purpose is people can talk about what they're passionate about and not have any repercussions about that. So I do think that you do need to have some like a very concrete goal that everyone can rally behind, but also that's authentic to who you are as a person, and people can see that.
Again, that big tent.
Yeah.
Marcel.
Pretty much everyone summed up everything as well, but I will say that if you just want to get involved in the community, just if there's a meetup, show up to it. It's as simple as that.
Unless you're me.
Oh yeah, unless there's Steph as well. Like, we literally have billboards of her can't show up and everything.
But you said I could have flyers and pass them out, right? For people
maybe.
to come? Oh.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I tried.
basically, just show up to the event and introduce yourself and see what everyone's like getting involved with. Like, for example, with the meetups for us, like they know I'm very heavy with charity work. And even like tomorrow, like I'm not even there, but it's the meetup, like the whole community is running themselves. But I'm like, do you guys even need me anymore? Like, what's going on? But like
That means you did a good job.
Yeah, like they're actually running a charity event for the Covenant House in Toronto, which deals with people who are either involved with human trafficking or people on the streets and everything. And the reason that they brought that up or why we're doing that is because other people are so passionate or saw my passion with charity work that we do for each meetup. They're like, hey, I would love to do this. I'm like, let's get a group together. And like, if you share like the same message with everyone, you could just grow a great community and get yourself involved. And then they're gonna bring their friend along. Like, always bring a +1 as well. And they basically realize your +1s to bring a +2 and everything. So I was like, everything else is, I don't know, it's just kind of surreal just how, like, just hearing everyone's stories, and I'm just reflecting back and hearing, like, wow, like, the community we have is pretty amazing, and, like, if you guys want to be our community as well, we can make that possible as well.
I mean, in a way, we're all the PAX community.
Exactly. So.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep. So, next thing is that Aristotle once said that this quote, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and it's important when looking at communities because the collective power of a community allows its members to accomplish far more than what they could do individually. I think we've heard a lot of stories about that today. and the best communities act as force multipliers and amplify or buff MMO parlance other efforts that people do. So what are some examples of this in your own communities? And we start from Marcel down to Ren.
Sorry, what was
So the best communities act as force multipliers and amplify efforts that people do. What are some examples of this in your own communities?
Like I would say, for example, like the whole charity thing that they're running themselves, that I'm like, yeah, if you want to run it, I'll have someone help you out run your own event. Like basically, if they're coming with their own ideas and the same passion that they have, like that we have from going from day one, and they want to run it themselves, that's basically the amplifier, I would say, for my community.
Cool.
Yeah.
Steph.
Yeah, I love fundraising for charity, and I think the most amazing thing in the whole world is that when everyone just gives a few dollars, all of a sudden those dollars add up to something huge. And with the last project, just this last March, we had 50 creators come together and fundraise. We raised over $25,000 in a 4-day weekend, and that's crazy. Like that's insane. And that's the thing, and it's small things here and there. You don't have to have a 50-person marathon to do something good. Sometimes all it takes is going to 3 friends and saying, hey, you want to pitch in $10, to something, and then all of a sudden that's 10 times 4, and that's $40, and that has impact, And so you have to just think like every little thing counts and adds up. And if everyone in this room for a charity stream donated $1, like that adds up. And so I think that's the amazing thing when it comes to communities is that people can come together in that way. That's a pretty good example, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Raven.
So kind of just using your voice to fight for marginalized people, right? So I am one fish in a massive ocean, but if I'm saying something needs to change and people are echoing that because they believe it, that means that it is not just me, it is a we situation. And being able to do that to genuinely create change for folks in the content creation space is something that I will forever be proud of, because it was not just a me thing. Like, I got to see people really come out and say, hey, this is not okay. We need something to change. We are people. We are allowed to be here. And that was so powerful. And I am still floored by all of it. So obviously charity's like amazing too. And I love doing charity work, but like
Social justice is important too.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do. I think that is one of those moments where like I can take a step back and like look at everything that has happened over the course of the last year and like just really be so proud of the people who I surround myself with and who like choose to have me in their spaces, because as a whole, like, we have created and done really good things.
Yeah, they both show your passion, so for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Thank you. Brandon.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to talk about charity again because it's one of my passions. It's what I do for work too. And so basically I do for work, I work with like streamers to just raise money for different organizations that I work with. And one of the things is that I do work with streamers who are like, have 50 viewers to 100 viewers. Because like one of the things about it, we probably all know, is that in the news when we hear about charity, it's always the streamers who are raising millions of dollars and all that kind of stuff. And I focus on streamers who have like, 50 viewers or less and that kind of stuff, because it's like those streamers who have communities who are great, who really just build and raise a lot of money in that kind of space. And it always takes someone to say like, you can do it, because people will think in their heads like, I'm not going to raise enough. I don't think my community is going to be able to do that. And I always tell people, as long as you raise at least $1, that is doing something and making
Those
a
efforts
difference.
add up.
Yeah, it adds up. And when people see their communities coming out of the woodwork, like donating like lots of money out of nowhere, it's really cool to see them like really believe in themselves and knowing that they made a change in this world. And then also it's a part of like, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But also it's like, seeing those streamers like creating these spaces for their community to come together, especially like someone has cancer and they know someone who has cancer. If they're raising money for a cancer organization, they really do connect with them and then want to do something to change for the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Ren.
All right, so I'll keep it short because we still got some stuff to get through. I would say 2 examples. So one from charity is over the fall season, we had a streamer collaboration for Final Fantasy XIV for Ultimate Clears. We did Games for Love, and we essentially ran Ultimate fights, the highest difficulty, all day, with the newest Final Fantasy XIV streamer, Rich Campbell over there, who came from World of Warcraft, and he donated $1,000 for every time we cleared. And the communities all together, we raised, I think, like $200,000
Nice.
in like 2 days. It was crazy. It was insane. And it just goes to say, like, once you say you can do it, and then people do, they relate and they come in, and it's to the nines. It's awesome. And then from a marginalized standpoint, I've been doing a lot of work trying to raise awareness and rights for the trans community. In Final Fantasy, there are a lot of people who, it sounds weird, but they get picked on for the gender of the character they create because they're trying to live in a world where they can't be at home, at work, with the people they meet in their day-to-day community. And so at least I have a space where they can come in and be themselves, and all of their real-life people don't have to know about it until they're comfortable. And that's another thing I push that's really big is, like, you don't have to put yourself in danger and tell people about how you identify if you're not comfortable with it yet. But here, you're cool, however you want to be.
Alrighty. So I see this, like in the past year at work, I see this phrase used a lot recently: success and scale bring broad responsibility. And for those in the audience that know where this comes from, I'm sorry. But I thought it was really important to, like, this resonated a lot with when I was writing the community panel. And the growth and increasing influence of a community comes with great responsibility. In the past year, I've heard this phrase mentioned a lot, and they wanted to use it as a launching pad for the next series of questions.
Oh.
So we're going to start with Rin all the way back to Marcel, and it's growth and this centers around growth and content relevance. So how did your community grow, and how does your community stay relevant at the times? We talk about social justice, we talk about making an impact. You know, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is. And I think for me, part of it has been that I'm pretty open. I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I don't really get nervous about, if I have a feeling, if I have a moral ground and I stand for something, I will stand for it like 100%, 200%. And sometimes that gets me in trouble. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. But mostly it gets the community going, wow, okay, you're really passionate about this. There must be some weight to it. And then so people listen. And that's awesome because you want people to listen when you're standing for justice, when you're standing for anything where people feel like their voice shouldn't be heard or can't be heard, and you stand for them and with them, or maybe you relate yourselves. Like I actually just came out last year. I'm asexual, and I thought for the life of me, for my whole life, because I'm married, that I couldn't tell people that because I wasn't allowed to be. So that was actually a really big, another streamer in the 14 community helped me with that, and it was a really big moment for me when I told everybody. So getting to stand for that was excellent, and just getting to show people that it's a spectrum, right? It's not like, it's not black and white, and it's on or off, or it is or isn't. There's a whole spectrum of standpoints and views where people are like, well, do I qualify or don't I? And the answer is yes, you do. You absolutely do. So my community grew because I just kept pushing for things I believed in, and other people believed too. So they kept coming back. We talk about it, and not always, because sometimes people do just want to sit there and watch a game for a little while. So I do showcase my gaming skills, and I try to keep it at a top tier level because that's what people like to watch. We do a lot of speed running or early progression, teaching people fights when they first come out and showing them that they could do it. And then when people do come in and they want to talk about it, we open the door for that. And like Raven was talking about earlier, you give the warning, so you're like, all right, if this triggers you, it's okay to leave. It's all right. You don't have to be here for that. That's all right. And if you want to stay, then great. And that's how we'll talk about it. And we stay relevant with the times because, well, I mean, standing up for justice is kind of relevant all the time.
All the time.
And it seems like recently, more people in general, both in real life and just social media, online communities, have been more upfront about like, hey, this isn't right. Let's stand for this, right? Like 20 years ago was a completely different world than now. Yeah, exactly. Calling it out for what it is. And you have enough of a voice now that people can't just push you under the rug as an individual. We are now a group or a community standing up for what we believe in.
I'll keep it short because I know we have some a little bit of time. But just in general, to how like my community did grow was just by like knowing that they had a positive experience and then asking them for their feedback. Because like knowing what things that we did right and what things we did wrong, we wanted to improve and make it like so everybody had a great time. Because obviously if people are not having a good time, your community is not going to grow. So the best thing that we always try to do is like try to just reach out to people, and when people are like, hey, you know what, I didn't like this, we're like, okay, let's look and see how we could change this, because overall we want to make sure that everybody has a great experience, and that's how your community will grow, because they'll talk about it to other people, and the word of mouth will just like continue to grow, and the people will come back.
Thank you. Raven?
So I think for me, it was really being unapologetically myself. And that is hard to do. Because I know when I was a little baby streamer, I was like, if I had like a viewer, I was like, oh, what do you want to watch me play? I'll play that right now. Like, that's going to be great. You're going to stay, right? Doesn't work. So once I stopped trying to people please and I really put my foot down and I was like, no, this is me and this is what you're going to get. And like, anybody who knows me in like my Twitch space and has met me IRL knows that there is no shift. That is what really helped me grow, both as a person and on the platform. And to stay relevant, I mean, we have hard discussions. We have hard discussions. If it's not live, it's in our Discord. It's things that we need to say because, life isn't always pretty, and it's okay to understand that you don't always have to be happy. So we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, we have a little section in our Discord labeled safe space, so it's not thrown in general, like if you have the spoons or, the budget, to actually read into it, like, you can see that. But we make sure that, like, if somebody is miseducated or ignorant on something, that they are educated in a way that is beneficial and not just like trying to tear somebody down if they're genuinely asking questions.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is this beautiful balance, and a lot of people think the best leaders talk the best and like speak the most, but I think really the best leaders have the balance with what you were saying, being authentic to yourself, but also listening and being great listeners and amplifying the voices of your community and the communities who need to be amplified as well. And so I think it's find the balance, be you, but be a good listener as well.
Yeah.
And I'll keep mine short as well. Like, basically, every meetup, as soon as like the meetup ended, I will just ask like, what you guys like? What would you like to see? Was there any problems? Like, basically like that, and just hear what everyone's voices are, and make sure that I try to bring that to the next meetup, basically.
Awesome. So next slide is about navigating challenges. So how do y'all handle difficult situations? I mean, I have some like theories or some coping mechanisms and ways that I've shown on the slide deck about some best practices that we have, but let's leave it to our panelists, from Marcel back to Rin, about their challenges.
Yeah, no, definitely staying calm and professional is definitely something I learned very quickly, especially working in the meetup area where there's some people I'm like, you were definitely not invited to this to this whole community whatsoever. But you definitely have to be calm and be professional, and don't make a whole scene out of it. Yeah, that's. I'll just keep it at that, basically.
I think it's important to look at everything on a case-by-case basis, and I think difficult situations, you can't really generalize. I don't think there's a one-answer-fits-all for how do you navigate a situation. Context matters for what type of level the severity is of something, and for kind of this third, how do you stay professional and calm. I think for me, I'm a big empath, but I think when you're a leader, it's important to know, okay, when is something personally affecting you versus when is something you need to take action on, and having for me, having procedures is important. Like when you have a community, usually if you have a Discord, you have policies, you have a TOS that you have to follow, and using that as a guide and saying, okay, is this something that is affecting the TOS, or is this a personal beef between members of the community, and knowing how to differentiate those two things and acting on them.
So I'm probably going to say something controversial. No, not me. I'm petty. Okay, I am petty. There are times where I will just walk away if it is a situation that I know someone is just being willfully ignorant, and there's a difference between ignorance and willful ignorance, right? Ignorance is genuinely not knowing. Willful ignorance is not wanting to know. So there are other times, like if somebody attacks me or like my community members, like I will clap back, and that's not the most professional thing, so don't do what I do, please. But I am going to be honest with you. But for the most part, if there is something like in-house or like within the community that is, going on where there's a situation that is uncomfortable for people, like I mediate, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm an avid believer in being able to share space with people. You don't have to want to be best friends with somebody, right? But like, I can want you to eat, just not at my table. And I try to teach that out where it's like, you don't really have to like this person, and that's okay. And if they make you uncomfortable in that way, then I will, fix that. But like, just kind of sharing space, I think, is important as creators.
Oh, yeah, I'll just echo what Steph said. Yeah, it's definitely important to see like case by case basis where like what a situation is and try to see what all the different solutions you can work with, and try to, if it's with a certain person, like, talking to them, it's with a venue, try to figure out like a solution that will work for everybody. But it's definitely important to just like make sure you look at all the sort of situations instead of like kind of acting on impulse, because I definitely have made mistakes on acting on impulse and it not going the right way, but then realizing that if I just looked at it from like from someone else's perspective, it usually works out pretty well like that.
That's true. I've done the same mistakes. We all grow. We're all humans. I would say I echo what everybody's saying. The only thing I would add in addition is I think it's very important that you do not try to keep things positive 100% of the time, because fake positivity is a thing. Mm-hmm. Be real. It's okay to be upset at things. Mm-hmm. And being able to separate the professional from personal is really important as well.
Cool. I'm gonna flip the order of the Q&A section last, because I really want to run in closing remarks, because I really want to make sure we cover one important thing, which is a raffle that we have.
Ooh!
Yay! Because we want to open up the floor for you all here. So this raffle is sponsored by Ping. It's a better way of streaming with friends. Content creation can be hard. Creating for friends can be harder. And our friends at Ping built Ping to bring on guests as easy as adding overlays to OBS. So this is one of Steph's. This is
Hey, that's me.
Yeah, this is Steph's the last Project Marathon podcast, and we are able to use Ping to do things like that.
If you ever need to do some sort of podcast or some remote video conferencing you want to record, it's super high quality, especially if you have a nice PC that can run it. Like it's nice.
Or a
It's
community
very good.
gaming night as well. You can use this
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a virtual meetup, and also if you're here today, if you're interested, they have a 20% off code for the first 3 months, PAX 2022, and we're going to do our drawing. So check those raffle tickets. We're going to be pulling.
A raffle, how exciting! Oh, are we doing that now?
I feel like we need Jeopardy
Apologies,
music.
I do have to run to another panel, but thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, bye, Brandon!
Apologies for the speed run here. Apologies for the speed run here. So I'm
Sonic!
gonna pick it out.
All right.
Bye, Brandon.
We love you!
We love you.
Apologies for the speed run at the end of this, but
Back-to-back panels is rough.
807-4552.
Oh! Yay!
Congratulations.
I am personally delivering this.
Oh!
You give me this box right now, I swear.
It comes with this too.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't know.
Okay. And
Your
if you have
cosplay's
any
amazing.
questions for us, we'll be outside, and we'll be willing to answer any
Thank
questions.
you to everyone who came out. This was really awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I apologize. We kind of had to speed run this. Sorry.
I love speedruns.
But thank you all so much. If you have any questions, stick around. We'll be outside.
Yeah. Woohoo!
We did it, y'all. High five.
With a minute to spare.
Boom!
You did a really good job.
Good job,
We were long-winded.
all this, dude. Thank you so much, man.